Hello friends, enemies, and strangers. I'm Kayla, and we are in the midst of 12 days of end of year content. Today, we're talking my least favorite books of 2025. Now, if you've been around a minute, you might recall last year, 2024, I hit an all-time low with my average rating, and I had 60 books in this video at the end of the year that were under a 3-star. And my goal was to improve that. So let's figure out if I did. I have a pretty significant stack here, and I'm just gonna grab 2 books at a time that I think I can connect in some way. Let's start out with horror. We've got You Weren't Meant to Be Human and Victorian Psycho. These are both books that I would still recommend to the horror community. I went into thinking they weren't going to be for me, but I wanted to give them a try, and it turned out they weren't for me. Pregnancy and young children in horror is not often something I'm really into, depending on how it's handled. And both of them, I just wasn't very interested in the plot. I think that Victorian Psycho got really repetitive. It was just like, here's this crazy evil girl, she's crazy and evil every single scene, here she's gonna be evil again. There was nothing that I was really anticipating or waiting for. And then this one, the plot just wasn't particularly interesting, and it was more sad than anything else. Like, everything was sad. The relationship dynamics, family dynamics, romantic, friendship, interpersonal, mental, physically, it was all just so sad, and it just kept being sad. I have 2 thrillers sitting right here, so let's go with No One Can Know and The Unwedding. I think I crashed out a little hard over this at the beginning of the year, but it's still without a doubt a 2-star. I think I gave it a 1.5 at the time. These are both about women who witness a crime or having memories of a crime, and I just really can't be reading a 300-page mystery following a protagonist who could not punch her way out of a wet paper bag. It insults my intelligence when characters this inept, I'm supposed to believe, crack the case in the last 20 pages. So that was horror, that was thriller. Let's do fantasy. Witchy Wood and the Baby Dragon Cafe are romance meets fantasy. But the thing about both of these books is you could remove the fantasy elements and they would be the exact same story. You could turn this magical reality show into just a reality show, it would be the same. You could remove the dragons, replace them with dogs, it would be the same. There was nothing unique or interesting about either of these worlds, either of these magic systems, and the romance got really cringy and basic in both of them. General fiction next. Hot Wax and Daisy Jones and the Six. These are both women grappling with things that they've been through related to the music industry. Their father's on the road, or they're on the road, they're chasing fame, or fame is impacting them in a negative way. And I say this all the time. I understand these books have important messages, and me not liking them doesn't take away from that. I'm not arguing that they don't have important things to say, but it was like if True Hollywood Story took a Xanax. Like, they were just so boring. If you're gonna write a book about such a unique experience in life that we all aren't gonna be privy to, fame and fortune and Hollywood and road trips with the band, like, make them interesting. The writing was dry, the drama and gossip underbaked. What haven't we done? Oh, more like higher fantasy. Easy, Radiance, and Brimstone. This was too much plot, not enough romance, and this was too much romance, not enough plot. Speaking of romance, we could do contemporary romance. Sweet Heat, and actually no, I want to pair this with We Love You Bunny because these are both just sequels that I don't think needed to exist. Considering I gave both of these first books 5 stars, like, I obviously was compelled to pick these up, but this was one of the most annoyingly written books ever, and it took all of the mystery that the bunnies had in the first book and just threw that out the window and gave us so many answers and so many POVs that obviously I picked it up, but like, I didn't ask for. And then Sweet Heat just sent us into a future where the people broke up in between the books. We don't get to see that. We just get to see them like with other people and like arguing and being sad and then eventually coming back together. Like, that was not for me. Okay, some light speculative ones next. Kind of surrealism, magical adjacent stories. We've got Fang Fiction and Cassandra in Reverse. These both I feel like had really serious topics, but the goofy, lighthearted style of them just did not match the subject matter. Oh, I do have another romance here, When Javi Dumped Mari, but I'm gonna pair this with Water Moon. I don't know where it is because these both featured relationships where they had absolutely no chemistry. Like, you can't convince me the Water Moon made any sense. The reason they were off on this adventure together and just immediately committed to one another, it happened too fast. The plot didn't go where I wanted. The plot didn't go where I wanted in here either, but I do not understand why Mari was interested in Javi at any, there was nothing convincing me that she, in reality, this woman would have been interested in this pathetic man. Secret Santa, I'm going to pair with Raising Hair that I also don't have because both of these, I feel as though, could have been written by an 11-year-old. Just very basic ideas, very basic writing, very simplistic takeaways for the reader. Going back to horror, 2 books I don't have, Tantrum and Itch. These are both stories that I have read before and done a lot better. And a lot of both of them are just confronting a really terrible person. And that's not my favorite type of horror to read, where someone's just a bad person and we just have to read a lot of the bad things that they've done. And the main character realizes that they're bad and they just have a lot of arguments for a lot of pages. Ooh, I've got some fairy tale ones, The Bear and the Nightingale and The Wood at Midwinter. This I would still recommend to people. A lot of people love this. It just wasn't my kind of vibe, but I also am not a huge fan of fairy tale like books. It takes something really, I don't know, special for me to like them. The Wood at Midwinter though, this was just a waste of paper. It was just kind of a non-story. The pictures are pretty, but these got a 2. Like, everything in this video got a 2, except for a couple select ones. A Letter to the Luminous Deep and Camp Zero are both kind of futuristic science fiction adjacent stories that are academic focused. And I would say that both of them were a little too ambitious for what they were. They have a lot of different perspectives. And in here, they were barely distinguishable from each other. And in here, I think the author introduced a lot of ideas and then forgot about a lot of them. And so they were, every scene and every character was set up for a certain thing. And then it just kind of fell apart. I found them both to be quite unsatisfying by the end. And I'm running out of things to pair up. Oh, 2 more I don't have are Great Big Beautiful Life and One of Our Kind. These are authors that I have enjoyed in the past and wanted to pick up, and I just think that they are writing in the wrong genre. I think Emily Henry needs to write rom-coms. I think she creates characters who belong in rom-coms and then just gives them very sappy, intense storylines. I found this to be incredibly dull. I didn't care about the romance, and when you take away half, like normally her books are all romance, and half of that got taken away and put into a different storyline that I thought was really boring. And then I can't, there's not enough pages for me to be convinced that this relationship is something that I'm supposed to love. And also they just get so like emotional and sentimental. And I think that she thrives with fun and banter, and I really want that to happen. Nicola Yoon has so many things to say, but I don't know that placing all of the commentary alongside filling out the book with like horror adjacent scenes and the tension she wanted to create with this like spa neighborhood. I think she should write some really intense general fiction, and then because her perspectives are not always clear in her books, those characters can navigate those feelings and try to figure out how they feel. Maybe Nicola Yoon can actually figure out how her characters feel if she has like 400 pages of an intense maybe drama. That would make a lot more sense to me than the shorter kind of horror-ish that we're getting. This pairing, The Starving Saints and The Unveiling, I think it was the writing in both of these that did not work for me. I was just really lost in here, and sometimes I love a fever dream and other people may love the fever dream of this, but I think it was just way too vibes focused. Too much detail, too much unnecessary padding for me. And then in The Unveiling, it was too many ideas. Like, I didn't even know where we were, what we were doing. There wasn't enough detail. It was just conversations constantly. And the plot was undecipherable. I couldn't decipher it. I didn't know what we were talking about or what we were doing. How am I going to pair these two? Alice in Wonderland and Hark the Herald Angels Scream. These are for someone. That person is not me. Maybe they're good like festive reads for people because this is a kind of childhood classic. The fact of this one is simply like none of the stories were good. Well, there was one, but I wouldn't say it was good. I just think it was fun and stupid. All of the other ones were, I don't know, 10 pages of like not really scary things. And then the story ended with, and then there was a scream coming from the next room. Like, what was that? This, I'm just going to chalk up to it not being for me. I'm not into talking animals and animal creature stuff typically anyway, so, but I'm not gonna, you know, hate on your nostalgic fave. I will talk about the talking animals in Behooved and whatever was happening in the Wishing Game. These were my 2 1-stars of the year. These were terrible. Oh, I also forgot about The Magicians. I don't have anything to say about The Magicians. That actually had more animal stuff that I did not see that it going in that direction at all, and it was very strange. And all of the female characters, the descriptions of them just being like gropable or whatever language that the author was using for them just to make a compelling story for his main character. Like, it was all just very stupid. And then I realized I also have these 3 here, which are erotic books, like sentient object, romance erotica. And I didn't rate these because erotica is just generally not for me. If I had to pick one that I think was bad, no, I think this was just silly. I don't think I liked either of these actually, because once the man who was a door stopped being a door, I lost interest. And then Frisky, I've learned that a lot of these sentient object romances just follow like a female character who's been really wronged in the past, and the sentient object like helps her heal, and like that's a fine story, but these are supposed to be fun and they deal with such like heavy things. I just don't understand. Okay, Behooved. This is again about miserable people when it looks like it's supposed to be whimsical and fun. I don't understand what is happening in romantasy. Like, why are they not as fun as I think they're gonna be? He literally turns into a horse and we don't even have any fun while he's a horse. I think my biggest issue with this, no, everything is my biggest issue. But for one, the man has absolutely no consistency with his personality. Like, sometimes he's really funny and sometimes he's really serious. And it's like his horse brain changes him, but that was never described, so I don't really get what we were doing there. Time passing was a huge mess. Like, in one sentence, it was suddenly a totally different time of day. It was really strangely written. This whole thing takes place over like a week, maybe, and these people are so dedicated to each other by the end, like literally would die for one another and like would sacrifice anything to be together. And I just think it was really wild, considering this is a hate to love and they hated to loved within the first like 15 pages. I feel like it just happened so swiftly. And then yeah, I'm still mad about them having a sex scene when she was like having active pain. Like, that really bothers me. His exclamations of love for her and how incredible she is and how beautiful she is and how she's capable of anything was just way too much with the short amount of time and with the character he was and the character she was. It just like, none of the pieces really fit together. It was like she was writing 10 different books and then just like puzzle pieced it. The amount of horse puns I didn't find funny at all. The jokes themselves were explained to the reader, which I just think is crazy, and actively poorly written. Like, the actual writing, the word choices, the sentences, like it was a poorly written book. And then my least favorite book of the year is The Wishing Game, which has a blurb by V.E. Schwab, which I just think is egregious. This is about a woman who is obsessed with a young boy in her class, who she decides she wants to be his mother, be the mother to. She has no qualifications. She has no money. She has no history of responsible behavior. She has no previous experience caring for children. Yet she is like trying to convince these people who are in charge that she should get to have this kid, and in such a way that it feels like she's trying to purchase this child. She's participating in a competition where she just gets everything that she wants, even though she didn't actually accomplish any goals or change in any way as a person. And I think the book is trying to get us to be against the entire foster care and adoption like system, and that she's in her right, that because she just sees this child a couple hours a day and like she loves to hug him so much, that she should get to raise him and parent him, and he should just go live. She has no car, she has no money, she has no groceries, she can't even care for herself, and yet she's supposed to be, just because she wants to and because she like love is all that matters, that she should be given a human being. There's a writing competition in here, the actual plot of this story, that makes absolutely no sense. We have a man in this manor who is sending letters to these traumatized children, essentially convincing them that he could be their perfect father and like to come to his island, and horrific things happen to them. The main character is basically like okay with completely tarnishing the reputation of this author man, who she wants to win the competition so she can like do whatever she wants with his stories, but she's totally down to just like sell them to the highest bidder so she can have money to buy this kid. And like everyone else seemed to be okay with that, as if that's a perfectly nice way for this man's legacy to go, when everyone else there has more of a passion for him and like wants the stories to like live beyond him, and like they want to actually do something positive with it. The book talks about overdose and drowning, abuse, sexual abuse, miscarriage, with no tact at all. It felt like every single character just had to be given this tragic backstory so we could feel something for them. It felt like trauma porn. And that's not even getting into how uncomfortable I feel about the romance in here and the dynamic between people. And I know not everybody agrees, because yes, they're both adults, but they met when she was a child. And I don't like the dynamic of it at all. The book still makes me so angry that everyone is referring to it as like cutesy and whimsical and heartwarming. Like, what? How are we reading such a different book? Okay, anyway, I think that is actually, let me tally it up, 35 books. So I did get it down from like the 60 from last year. I liked books more. I was more ready to DNF things this year. I was picking up things I was interested in rather than solely for the content most of the time. I was down to have a silly goofy time sometimes with some of these. But yeah, if you want to pick any of these up or you love any of these, power to you. They were not for me, and I'm very excited to go and now donate them so they can live in a better home. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Let me know your least favorite books of the year in the comments below.